I had no idea the British press was so bigoted.
This One's Wife. 10 Ways She Controls Harry. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor, here to continue your education about narcissism by explaining the various behaviors of this one's wife as she interacts with other people. There are lots of different ways that the narcissist controls other individuals, be they the intimate partner primary source, intimate partner secondary sources, non-intimate secondary sources, and tertiary sources also. There's a long list of both benign and malign manipulations that we utilize. You can learn about some of those in my books Manipulated and The Devil's Toolkit, which you can find on Amazon and also in the Knowledge Vault, link in the video description. The narcissist is always manipulating when dealing with other people. Often you won't realize this because you don't realize you're dealing with a narcissist, or the fact is that the manipulations are benign. The reason why a narcissist is always manipulating is because the motivation for their interaction with another human being isn't based upon what you think it is. It's based upon self-service. It's based upon the prime aims. A friendship isn't a friendship because the narcissist actually likes you. The friendship exists because of what it can do for the narcissist. The narcissist doesn't actually love you. The narcissist creates the impression of love in order to get what he or she requires from you vis-a-vis the prime aims. The manipulations come in many shapes and forms to help the narcissist control you, draw fuel from you, acquire character traits and residual benefits from you. And this situation is no different when it comes to this one's wife and, hapless, has her intimate partner primary source victim. There are numerous manipulations that she will utilize, and this is not an exhaustive list of them. Instead, in order to inform you about how she deals with him, that she utilizes 10 particular forms of manipulation for the purposes of controlling Harry. This will also cause him to provide fuel, but it's ultimately done to control him. Control is important. Harry must be brought under control. He must be kept under control, and any threats to control that he may manifest, and he does, must be nullified and quashed like a burgeoning rebellion that has to be put down and stamped out. Here are the 10 regular ways that this one's wife controls Harry. Number 1. Sex. There will be instances of her providing lashings of spicy poontang, which the randy ginger bugger has been bowled over by. There is little doubt that at the outset of the relationship, she got nasty with him pretty quickly. Narcissists do. Sense of entitlement, necessity of control, lack of boundary recognition. And, as Harry memorably once stated, she'll let you do anything. With an apparent pedigree earned as a consequence of performances on yachts and also in certain filmed material, there's little doubt that this one's wife is up for anything. And in the circumstances, the narcissism has driven her to pursue this with a hearty fervour. Sex is a major weapon of seduction utilized by the narcissist, and you can do no better than read my excellent book, Sex and the Narcissist, to understand more about the ways that sex is used and perceived by the narcissist. This one's wife will have given Harry plenty of spicy poontang. She will have encouraged him to pound the punani pavement and play hide the sausage on a regular basis. He will have been completely loving every second of having his pink pods tickled and as they roasted the chicken. When it came to making the beast with two backs, he'll have been an enthusiastic participant. And, bowled over by this, driven by his emotional thinking, it will enable him to have been controlled, as he thinks this is fantastic. Not only am I getting lots of it, this demonstrates she's completely into me. She'll also use sex by withdrawing it from him. Having been given the heady heights of lots of orgasmic delight, it's then whipped away from him. And when he nudges her in the back with his boner, she turns around and swats it away. And Harry's left wondering, but why? I thought you were always up for it. I have a headache, comes the response. Or, you need to go and wash that thing, it's not coming anywhere near me. Accordingly, sex is something that she will use to control him, giving him lots of it during the initial golden period and when there's a respite period, and on other occasions withdrawing and keeping those legs shut for once and ensuring that he doesn't get to pound the banana pavement. Number 2, triangulation. This one's wife will engage in triangulation with other people for the purposes of putting Harry down. She will compare him unfavourably with William, Trevor, Corey, her father, his own family, the children, his dead mother. He will be told, well, Trevor would have done that for me, or I bet William doesn't behave like this, or my father always defended me. Of course, this creates confusion in the mind of Harry. If your father's so wonderful, why don't you speak to him? I thought you told me that he'd done this and he'd done that. Naturally, the hypocrisy of the narcissist looms large. But she will introduce other people into the conversation, into the discussion, to compare Harry against them for the purposes of making him feel small, so that he's compelled to respond, that he works harder, that he strives to achieve more. These repeated comparisons will be done without any, of course, emotional empathy. Triangulation is a common manipulation, and she will utilize other people by making comparisons between what they have done, whether real or imagined, and how Harry has behaved in order to compel him to come under control. Number 3, silent treatments. One of the most favoured manipulations of narcissists, and particularly those of mid-range persuasion, because it's so easy to do. Just clam up, sit there glowering, sitting there with a baleful stare, or just looking out of the window, sitting in the car and saying nothing, walking away when the individual tries to speak. The silent treatment is one of the most effective methods that we assert control over somebody and is regularly used by the passive-aggressive mid-range narcissist. It doesn't expend any effort, and yet its impact upon an empathic victim is substantial. This one's wife will regularly turn away from Harry, ignore him, walk away from him, sit not speaking to him. And this will be done to cause him to correct his ways, to apologise, to do things in order to prove that he's loyal to her, in order to bring him under control. Number 4, the pity play. You would do it if you loved me. The world hates me. I don't understand. I've got nobody who loves me. These and other phrases will be uttered by this one's wife as she drops to the floor sobbing or manages to squeeze one tear out of her left eye. Go. Again, the pity play can be used by both lesser and mid-range narcissists, but it very much has its home amongst mid-range and particularly mid-range. Exhibiting that ever-present victim mentality, she'll turn on the waterworks, turn on the woe is me, in order to compel Harry to feel sorry for her. And thus, where he might be shouting at her and she's not getting her way, even though she's arguing back, she'll turn on the tears and sob about how hard done to she is. Where somebody else has threatened her control, she'll come to Harry and complain about them, sobbing, creating a false tear in order to compel him to feel sorry for her. She will regularly use pity plays. She does so externally to the world at large, and therefore it follows that quite clearly she will behave the same way internally within the relationship with Harry. Number 5, threat. If you don't do X, I will do Y. Threat is a staple of lesser and mid-range narcissists, and particularly those of a mid-range persuasion. Watch my video about the narcissist and threats to understand more as to why particularly mid-range narcissists love using threat. She's likely to threaten to expose him in some way, or threatening to leave him, or threaten him with not having access to the children to the extent that they exist. Threats are easy to use. It's just simple words, but their impact upon a victim can be substantial, and there is little doubt that Harry will be on the receiving end of repeated threats from this one's wife. Number 6, physical control. We see this regularly when they're in public, with the grip of doom, and the way that she pushes him in the small of his back, the way that she clings on to him, manoeuvres him, steers him, gets in the way of him, moving him out of the way. Thus, physical control is something by which she regularly controls Harry, and this might also include recourse to physical violence. Whilst this is not a go-to manipulation for a mid-range narcissist, it can happen. And where heated, ignited fury comes to the fore, there is a possibility that she utilises some form of physical violence as a means of physical control of Harry. Number 7, belittlement. He will regularly be insulted and put down, belittling him. If you were a real man, you'd be able to do this. If you had a proper income, we wouldn't be left in this mess. If you hadn't written those stupid things in that stupid book, we wouldn't be in this mess. Repeatedly, she will put down Harry, berating him for another fine mess that he's got her into. Remember, it's never her fault. It always has to be somebody else's fault or something else's fault. And with Harry being the intimate partner primary source, he will repeatedly be blamed for things which are nothing to do with him, belittling him for his incompetence and his inability. Number 8, using his vulnerabilities against him. There are 2 main vulnerabilities that Harry has, and it isn't the fact that he's a fantapubes. The first is the loss of his mother, and the second are issues with mental health. Initially, those will have been used for him, in the sense of her exhibiting false compassion. I'm so sorry about what you had to deal with regard to your mother. I fully understand the challenges of mental health. I've had some mental health challenges myself, and therefore I know exactly what it's like. Don't you worry, my sweet. I'm here to support you and look after you. But then, in the sustained devaluation, that will be thrown in his face. Why don't you man up and stop going on about your mother? That's all you ever do. You're like a boy child. It's ridiculous. Bleating on about your mother. I'm sick of hearing about your mother. Oh, my mum this, my mum that. What about me, Harry? You should be supporting me. With regard to any mental health issues that she has, he'll be ridiculed for the frailty that's exhibited there. You're a nut job. Do you realise that? Because you smoke too much of that ganja. And that's why you can't think straight. It's why you think you've got mental health problems. You haven't. I'm the one that has the issues in that respect, and I need the support. But you just pretend that you have them. Yes, you do. And then on other instances, he will have a genuine mental health complaint, according to her. You're fucked up in the head, Harry. You need help. You need more therapy. You need to go and see someone who can help you, because the way that you behave, there's something wrong with you. Number 9, flattery. He got plenty of this in the golden period, and he will get the return of it during respite periods, where he's told that he's her hero, that he's her rock, that he's a brilliant husband, a marvellous father. This is a benign manipulation, along with the provision of lashings of spicy poontang, and naturally, to an affection-starved individual in the devaluation stage, all of a sudden, being praised and flattered and complimented feels like delicious droplets of ice-cold water after trudging through a desert for a couple of days. Number 10, guilt. I did all of this for you and look where it's got me. I put up with your family. Why can't you support me? I put up with the treatment in the United Kingdom and I did it for you, and look how you've repaid me. She'll regularly make Harry feel guilty so that he is compelled to do things for her. that as part of doing that, she'll bring up matters from the past in order to make it seem like she is the one that made the ultimate sacrifice, forgetting the fact that he has been dragged away from his own family and friends and transplanted to a country which is essentially alien to him. But of course, it's all about her, and she will make out that she's the one that has made the sacrifices in order to make Harry feel guilty. There you have it, a behind the scenes, the behind the closed doors expose of how she controls Harry using those particular manipulations. As I explained, there are more, but those are the 10 most common ones that she will utilize as a mid-range narcissist. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.